Dirty Boss Games by Sedona Venez. Chapter 1. Jayla. I waited in the long line inside Starbucks, checking my watch every few minutes and trying not to impatiently tap my foot. I really should have arrived 10 minutes earlier, but I'd had a restless night and fallen asleep late, resulting in me hitting the snooze button one too many times. It was 10 minutes to 8, and if I didn't arrive with the coffees for the Friday morning meeting, I would be in hot water again. I finally made it to the cashier and ordered 5 house blend coffees, 3 with cream and sugar, 1 with just cream, and 1 black. Then I ordered a caramel macchiato for myself, and I moved to the side while I waited for my order to be completed. My tired mind drifted back to work, to all the things I would have to get done for the day, while I tried my hardest not to be distracted by my frequent hot, kinky, lustful daydreams, all starring the sexy, enigmatic powerhouse that was billionaire Porter Holland. My fascination with Holland was fucking sordid. I'd been masturbating almost every night since I started working at Holland Enterprises, a company he co-owned with his brother. My vibrator simply couldn't handle the pressure. I wonder if he'd be cool with me hiking up my skirt, pointing to my cunt, and ordering him to fuck me like a recently released prisoner. I burst out laughing. Shit. Probably not. Damn, I'm going crazy. I had known that shit was bound to happen. I hadn't been touched by a man in over a year, and frankly, I missed having sex, a lot. But my wanton desires were irrelevant. I knew a man like Holland was way out of my league. He was rich and cultured with an Ivy League pedigree, and according to rumors, he loved them blonde, thin, and beautiful. Men like Holland were never interested in women like me. Shit. We came from vastly different worlds. Even though I was a shining example of a woman who had risen above my difficult childhood, growing up in the crime-ridden projects, and being raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to put food on the table for my older sister and me, Holland and I were an unlikely match. It didn't help matters that I was only his front desk, administrative assistant. Mr. Holland's personal administrative assistant was Dave Harrison, tall, skinny, snooty-nosed, and crushing pathetically hard on our boss. But according to office gossipmongers, Holland had a steady stream of beautiful female fuck buddies who would show up at his office after hours for a little dirty, loud nookie, and Dave would get outrageously jealous and take it out on me since he knew I had eyes for the boss as well. So he would dump the hardest tasks on me, ones that were quite obviously his job, like fetching the morning meeting coffee. I collected and paid for the orders. Then I hustled and weaved my way down Madison Avenue and into the building where Holland Enterprises was located. With my handbag slung over my shoulder, balancing the 2 trays of coffee in my hands, I somehow managed to get to the office on the 15th floor without spilling any on the crisp white blouse I wore, a damn miracle since I'd already stained 3 shirts in as many weeks doing just this feat. My fuck-me red-bottomed high heels, an extravagant birthday gift from my sister, clicked against the black marble floor as I swayed past the wide console that was my desk, down the hall, and into the meeting room where the staff was already waiting, including Holland, who was making notes on a pad of paper as he sat at the head of the table. I set the coffees down near him and froze momentarily when he looked my way. The ceiling lights glanced off his black hair and tan face with a straight nose, lips I knew could curve absolutely wickedly when he heard a business idea he liked, and a strong square chin. His eyes were such a dark brown that they appeared to be black, and they were piercing me like arrows right now. And something intensely carnal reflected in them made me a little self-conscious. "Good morning, Ms. West," he greeted me in that deep, rich voice that was like the caress of a man's hand down my spine. "Morning, Mr. Holland," I murmured, dropping my eyes to the coffee tray I'd set down so I wouldn't have to look into his eyes. I began pulling out the different coffees and reading the labels on them before passing them out. When I got to his, I set it down in front of him, my eyes fixated on the glossy wooden table, and I nearly jumped out of my skin as his hand curled around the cup, strong, warm fingers touching mine before I could let go. Startled, I glanced up to see that carnal glint was in his eyes, and this time that wicked curve to his lips was there to match it. A shiver of excitement raced through me. Surely he isn't looking at me like that. I knew there was no way he was remotely interested in a woman like me, with my more exotic features, or what guys would call sensual. I could live with that description, but my tight curvy body caused me angst. Well, that and the fact that I had more ass and breasts than should be allowed on any woman, unless her lifelong ambition was to be a very well-paid stripper. The spell of the moment was shattered when Dave came rushing over, his pale face stretched into a grimace of a smile. The loathing in his blue eyes as he looked my way told me loud and clear that he was not pleased with what he was seeing. "I'll take that off your hands, Ms. West," he told me, elbowing my ass out of the way none too gently. He spied the caramel macchiato and snatched it up. "Ah, I see you've forgotten my own coffee, so I'll make do with this. You can go back to your post up front, Ms. West." "Oh hell no. What a fucking asshole." I balled my hands into fists, barely resisting the urge to grab my drink out of his hand. Be smart, Jayla. Resist the urge to Superman punch him in the throat. I needed this job and couldn't risk speaking out and losing my only source of income, not when I had a ton of debt, including my NYU student loan payment that was due at the end of the month. I took a deep, calming breath before preparing to walk off without my coffee. My head shot up in surprise when Holland spoke. "Mr. Harrison, you know full well that you never order any coffee, which is why Ms. West did not bring any for you. You always complain about the inferiority of the Starbucks brand and blend your own at home, which is in the thermos you left out on the table over there." Holland pointed to where it sat next to the portfolio case Dave was always carrying around. And though Holland's tone was mild, there was a hint of steel in it that had Dave's spine stiffening and a line of sweat breaking out over his pale forehead. "Please don't play games during office hours and give Ms. West her coffee back. Now?" "Of course," Dave stammered, his eyes wide with shock. He turned and handed me the macchiato. "Apologies, Ms. West. It was my mistake." The resentment flashing in those pale eyes told me it was no such thing, and we both knew it. I gave him a small smirk that didn't even come close to the tap dance of joy my heart was performing, and I took the drink from him. "Thank you," I told Dave and then looked past him to Holland, who was watching us both. "Good morning, sir." I turned and left the room, and a tingle went up my spine when I felt the heat of Holland's eyes on me the entire way out the door.